Welcome back to another go at the 200 challenge, where we're finding ways of taking weight out of my 964. We've so far found 262 kilos, so we're way ahead of the target, and you know what? I think we're gonna make it to 300 in the end. Got a few big ones in there still. This time around, we're gonna make the car beautiful, and it is Kevlar Dress Up time, meaning I have a whole garage here full of beautiful panels from DRS Development, and I'm gonna fit them up to the car, getting myself one step closer to painting the car. First things first, gonna start with the rear bumper. I need to cannibalize the original rear bumper a little bit. If we look at the inside of this one, there is an impact bumper in here, which is this big aluminum beam that I need to put on this car in some shape or form. This is essential because these cars have a tendency to hit fences with the rear first, being so rear heavy. And I'm not gonna compromise on this, so I need to transfer this over to this car and then fit the new bumper up. Let's get it off first. And this is how the impact beam looks. It sits on the inside here, and this is actually the main assembly point of the bumper. So we need to get this one off this bumper, and from what I can tell, it sits in these small little rivet nuts here. So I'm gonna drill those out and take the beam out, and we see how that goes. Easy as that, voila. It just sits with these little rivet nuts there, so it's very easy to get out. I did grind this one off because this was one of the very last areas of this car that was still red. So I grinded that off. Now for the trick. I don't know what's easiest, to mount this to the new bumper first, or to mount this to the car and then mount the bumper to the car. I'm gonna do the latter one of this. So I have these, the original mounts. I'm gonna mount all of this to the car first. Also these, also the original mounts. I'm gonna mount that to the car first, have a look, see if I can trim it in, and then hook it up that manner. Let's see how that goes. And now this will be a really fun test. So I got the impact beam here. I got the little mounts there. I'm not sure they're gonna fit for this wide body bumper here, but let's stick it on there and see how it looks. It doesn't fit at all. So I guess I must be doing something really wrong here, because what I think it is that I need to put these little bumperettes. I need to take this off. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research and figure out if that's the case. And just holding the old bumper next to the new bumper, I can see that this one is much narrower here than what this one is. So in this bumper, these little bumperettes on the inside, they go out in this compartment here. Here, there's no way. So I'm gonna have to take those off and try again. Okay, take two. And I don't think this was too bad for a first fit. I popped it into the slot here. And as you see, I haven't drilled these holes yet, but I'm gonna do that once I'm completely happy with the fit. And I know that it's perfectly center. If we look at the lines, I have a little bit work to do on the light bucket here. I'm gonna put a light in there and see really how it fits. This line here horizontally, I got it perfect. This still has flexibility, so I can work with that. I did assemble this bracket here, so I got support on this side, so only got the side up here left. On this side, there is a little bit more work. We got this point touching, which is okay, I guess, but we need to clamp it together here. And I might need to use a little bit of hot air and form the shape there so that I'm really happy with it. But overall, I think for a first fit, we got a really nice result. I'm working myself away here. I'm trying to address the little gap that I had there. The gap is really very small, so I don't really need to do anything about it, since the screws that I'm gonna have here in the end, they're gonna fix that. What I did do though was I put clamps on the inside, and I borrowed my wife's hairdryer. So I've heated this area up a little bit. You're not supposed to use a heat gun because it applies too much heat. Hairdryer is apparently pretty good level of it. And that is one of the benefits with the carbon Kevlar panels that these are, that you can actually reshape them a little bit if you see the need, as opposed to the carbon fiber panels where they have a shape and that's the shape you're gonna get. I'm gonna get started in the front, and my idea here is I'm gonna start from here, get the lines correct on this side, get the doors in and figure out how to fit the doors, and then try to sort of meet in the middle. But before I can really figure out how to get the fenders on, I think I need to get the hood in. The reason for that is I want to make sure I get this line here correct, so that the disturbances up and down here doesn't affect the area over there. So I have the hood over there. I've mounted the original mounts. I'm going to see if I can do something really crazy here, which is to assemble a hood with one person only. So let's see if that works. Hood is on, and I've made a basic adjustment of it. It's not terribly easy, neither is it very difficult to adjust this hood. Let me open it up and I show you how it looks. So this hood has quite a lot of adjustability, and I'm trying to get it right so that I have that as a reference. It's not so easy to adjust a hood without having any other reference to adjust it towards, but this is how it works anyway. I'm reusing the original mounts, and as you adjust these, you can adjust the pivot point there so that it goes up and down essentially. Then you have the mounts here, and you can move it in this manner, and then you can put washers in behind there to give it a little bit more adjustability. And then you have the gap in the front that you have these little rubber things here. So I got the hood on, I think, with a decent alignment, good enough to get going with the next step and put the fender on and see how it looks. So there's a few different styles that these aftermarket components come in. I've chosen to go for something that is called Carbon Kevlar. So what that is it's a gel coat in the top, and then in the bottom it has a layer of carbon Kevlar. So this is, if you see the strands here, the black ones are carbon fiber, and the yellow greenish ones, they're Kevlar. This is the same as I had on the rear fenders. This is super strong and very difficult to tear. The idea and the reason why I wanted to have this is that if you have like a stone or something that hits very hard on the fender, it doesn't shatter like pure carbon fiber does. So I think I'm gonna get a little bit more longevity out of this. That's why I did this. This particular one has a little feature, and that is that it's a split fender. So this piece here needs to be glued into the fender in place. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put this onto the car. I'm going to put this onto the car on top of that, so that I see exactly how it fits and see if I need to do any adjustments. And this little thing that is supposed to go here needs to be pre-drilled. And you can see as they've molded off the original one here, you can see where these are supposed to go. So I'm gonna bet that these holes are correct, and drill one or two and put it in there, and then put the fender on and see how that looks. And as usual with this kind of stuff, every little piece of the fender wants to go in a different direction. So I don't think I have a better way than just drill 2 holes, 2 maybe 3, screw it in there and see how that looks. Okay, popped it on there, and this is how it looks. I have somewhat of a line here. It looks pretty decent down here. It's a little bit high here. Gap is a little bit too big. Maybe I can adjust the hood. I probably need to get both fenders on. I can't push it down here without using a lot of force. And the issue now, and really the reason why this fender is pointing in all directions at the same time, is that it rides on this little flange here. And if you take the fender off, you can actually see that as they've molded this, this piece from the original, that it is quite a lot larger than the original. You can see where the original was here. So I'm going to mark this guy up, and then I'm going to cut that surplus away so that it fits properly over there. You can do this in different ways, of course. I'm going to do a rather brutal way here using an angle grinder and a flexi disc just to take the material away. And then I'm going to use an eccentric grinder here to just make it smooth. See how that goes. So this is maybe a little bit more brutal than what you need to do, but it works really well, and you get the material off really clean and really quick. So this is now a pretty smooth edge here. I might need to trim it a little bit. I see I need to do a little bit of trimming here. It wasn't so smooth. One of the challenges is that the carbon Kevlar is so hard and so unterrible that as you do this, it kind of becomes a little bit of a beard sticking out from the edge here, and it helps using the angle grinder in the right direction so that it kind of trims it off against the edge. Little tip there. And back on the inside, what I'm now looking for is, I want to make sure that the fender in all these places is a little bit lower than the hood, because if it's lower than the hood, I can always adjust it upwards. And I want to make sure it's not riding on a certain place, because if it's riding, it kind of bends around that one. And I think I got it. So what's left now is to bolt it in place and see how it sticks on there. So what I did was just fixing it with 3 bolts and then a clamp in the top. I had to adjust a little bit down here, a little bit up there, and on this side I've just clamped it like this. So there is a little bit of shape giving left. If we look at this line, it will need a little bit of filler to be perfect. But you know what? I think it actually looks very decent. Yeah, really happy about it. Next step is to align the loose piece that is in the inside here. I've marked up a little piece of it that is surplus that I need to take away. And I'm going to take that off, I'm going to bolt it in place, and then do the last piece of the alignment and make sure the fender sits perfectly. Okay, here we go. I'm down under, and as you can see, it doesn't fit the way it's supposed to by any means at all. What I don't know is where I have surplus on the fenders or where it's the way it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna try to bend this in place, clamp it in there, and then put one of the doors on and then see how that looks, because I think that's really the kicker here to understand how the door will fit in all this. Before I get the door on though, I am going to make sure that the fender sits a little bit better. So I'm going to drill it from the inside now that I know that this line is approximately correct. Just using an 8mm drill here. 8mm is bigger than what it needs to be. And the logic with that is that I'll be able to move it around a little bit in the holes after I put it in there. So let's go. Okay, let's have a look at the door. The reason I want to get the door in is I want to make sure this line there is correct and that I position the door correctly lengthwise. And that also will affect how much filler I need to put on this side here. I did go and buy new doors. One of my previous episodes, you saw one of my previous doors. Those are salvageable, but I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time at it, and I'd rather get something that is really super slick from the beginning so that I don't have to spend all the time in the world just fixing a pair of doors. So these ones, same brand as the other, DRS Development, Carbon-kevlar. These are a lot sturdier than the previous ones I had, and I think that's gonna help me with the longevity of this. So let's bolt this one on and see how it looks. And there we go, door is on. It's a little bit of a hassle and you have to turn into Spider-Man for a while to get the door on all by yourself. These doors have a lot of adjustability. You have these shims, these are the originals. These ones I printed because I didn't have enough of them. As I put the door on, I saw that I needed to really shift it quite a lot backwards. So I have quite a lot of shims in the front to get a reasonable gap here in the back. I'll still have to use some filler here. And as I'm putting the door on, I see that I have some stuff that interferes. I have up here from the fender that I need to fix. And I also have up here. So I'm gonna clamp the fender and try to take that out. And as I've done that, I'm gonna see if I can fix this top here. Hinges on these doors is pretty unique. This is how the hinges look. So these are the billet version of the hinges. You have adjustability here in all directions. You have adjustability here in all directions as well, because there's like a plate in behind there. In the bottom, it looks a little bit different. And what you have to do is you have to kind of jive with all of those various aspects of adjustability to get the door up, down, back, in, out, and so until you're happy with how it looks. So I'm going to take a little bit of material out in the front there and see if I can also adjust the top, and then we see how good the fit really is. A messy job to say the least. I started off with just a little small sander, and it didn't get me anywhere, so I used the belt sander instead, and that ate up quite a lot of it. And in the end, I have a line that looks like this. The gap is still too narrow, so I'll need to do something about that so that I get it more like it looks on this side. I do have a pretty big gap on this side here. I can't really move the door more in this direction, because if I do so, then I get an issue here. And this gap is pretty easy to fix just with putting some filler on this side here. So next up is this guy here, which is the lock. I'm going to put the lock in, and then we're going to latch the door so that we see that the line really looks the way it's supposed to. And it should be a really easy maneuver to put this in. Important is that this turns downwards. Otherwise, there's not going to be any chance of you getting it in there. That was a lesson I learned the hard way when I was trying to take these out, because I tried to take them out without having it that way, and that simply doesn't work at all. Okay, here we go. Lock is in. There is a piece missing here. This one is supposed to go up in this little box there, so you can open the door easily. We have the mating part put in. This one is shimmed up with pieces, and then you can adjust it back and forth. I have adjusted it already, so the door latches and closes really nicely. When we look at the lines, we see that this is good. I will have to fill up a little bit on this side here to get this really nice. Up here, I will probably have to bend the door a little bit to make room for the window. And this is carbon Kevlar, so with a little bit of heat and a little bit of time, I can get that done. We'll have to work a little bit on this area here. I'm not going to do that today. Have to figure out some other techniques for that. What I want to do though is I want to fix up this gap here. So I'm going to add filler on this side. I could add it on the door side as well, but I think it's easier to do it on this side here. So that's what I'm going to do. And this is how it now turned out. So my goal with this was to get a perfect line this way. And I have that now. That's nice. I had a very ambitious goal of filling this side up from the rear side, and that doesn't work. That was a stupid idea. So I'm going to fill this gap up starting from this side. I'm not going to do that now, but now I have a really nice edge to go towards on this side. I also want to point something out with these doors because they're a little bit different than, for example, the DP Motorsport doors. If you look at those, the window sits like this, and there's a little piece here where you can see the door around the window. These doors don't have this recess, so what you do with these is you put the window on top here, so the window becomes completely flush with the rear window. So this becomes like one glass piece all the way there. Something that I really liked with these doors because it makes it one uniform look in that manner. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge how to get the window in here because I'll have to custom make the windows for this and then grind them so that they fit perfectly with this. I also have to make sure that this line is perfect in this manner. So I'm going to have to put this with a little bit of tension, apply a little bit of heat, and wait for it to take its proper form. So wow, we did a lot of stuff today. Started with the bumper, got the lines there, put the lights in, figured out exactly how to adjust that. We did leave it in with clamps for a while to really make sure it got its shape. Front fenders was quite difficult. I'm actually not done with them yet, but I'm gonna continue tinkering with that. Glue up the split pieces so that I get that done. Got the hood in, got the doors adjusted enough so that I at least know that they're gonna fit perfectly after I do the final adjustment later on. We haven't done the front bumper yet. I'm gonna do that next time. What I do have to do before we leave today is to make sure we know what the difference between the parts we changed today. I've already accounted for the doors and the front fenders as well as the front hood in previous episodes. What I haven't accounted for though is the rear bumper. And here we go, scoring time. So rear bumper is on 2 of my Bluetooth scales. It is 5 kilos, this one. And the runner-up, some carbon Kevlar goodies, weighing in at 3 kilos. So we saved 2 kilos just on the rear bumper. The other things I've already taken into account. There will be some things that I need to change with this as well. I need to drill a hole here. I need to put the lights for the number plate. And I need to make a cutout here for my center exhaust. So this will change a little bit as I go forward. But all in all, 2 kilos rear bumper only. Not bad. And that's it for today. I'm sorry it took a long time before this episode came out. I've been very busy with work this last period here, and that's something that is really important to me. Next time around, we're gonna keep working with the front fenders, and we're gonna install something really cool in terms of the dash, making it really modern, really cool. It is a lot of work working with these front fenders and the doors, much more than what I thought. People did warn me about this in advance, and I said, yeah, how difficult could it be? But really, it is quite challenging, I have to say that. Next time around, we're going to have a lot more fun. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe to my channel, write me a comment, do something fun, and I'll see you next time.